Have you ever wanted to make your own cyber? Well, keep watching and I'll tell you everything you need to know. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara. I've been a cosplayer for 6 years and a sewer for 3. Today I'm just going to go through what you'll need if you want to make your very own Love Live cyber, plus a cost breakdown at the end to mentally prepare you for the damage it might cause to your bank account. A little preface before we get into this video: if I keep looking off to the side, it's because I have a script and I want to make sure I get through all the points that I want to talk about throughout this video. Anyway, let's get on with how you can make your very own Love Live cyber. The first and most important step is picking out your fabric. For my cyber, I picked out all of my main fabrics from spandexworld.com. They don't have every girl's color, so you might have to use alternate websites. Some alternatives are Minerva and Blue Moon Fabrics. Minerva has a bunch of colors and shades to choose from. My favorite is their purple to use for Nozomi, because if you've wanted to make a cyber based off the original mass-produced ones from years ago, they have the closest purple color that I've been able to find, so definitely look into that if you want to make Nozomis. I recommend Blue Moon Fabrics if you're looking to make Ellie's costume, simply because the other two websites mentioned don't have the sky blue color available, and theirs is very, very gorgeous. As for the type of fabric, I recommend using stretch vinyl for the bodice, as it'll give you a better fit around your torso, but depending on personal preference, you can use the stretch vinyl as well for the skirt, or you can get a stiffer one. It all depends on how well you want those pleats to stand out, but I found that the pleats did still look pretty good even with the stretch material used. The only downside of using like a pleather for the skirt is you'll have to be able to find a fabric that matches closely to the stretch vinyl as possible, and that might be a little hard depending on which girl you're doing. Something I would also like to note is that I found it was easier to use a stretch vinyl for the skirt, because if you're doing that low waist seam, then it'll still stretch with your body, whereas if you use like a stiffer pleather, you'll lose that leeway. Now, before you buy fabric, plan out your patterns so you can better estimate how much of that fabric you'll need. For the bodice on mine, I patterned that with saran wrap and masking tape on my dress form. If you don't have a dress form, you can also do this on yourself. You just might need a little bit of help. After you get that situated, you'll draw out your design, cut it off of your mannequin or yourself, and transfer that to pattern paper. If you prefer using commercial patterns, for the bust, you can use Simplicity 1426 in style C, and for the corset portion, you can use Simplicity 3618. For the skirt, I wanted to match closely to the original cybers, and I can tell they didn't do a circle skirt pattern, so I just cut a long rectangle, the full length of the amount of fabric that I got, and I believe the width was like 9 to 10 inches. You can always cut it shorter, but you can't add length back on there. For her socks, I turned these into tights to not have to worry about constantly pulling them up. I used this pattern. If you don't want to make them tights, you can just cut off the extra portion of the pattern that you don't need. Though I would recommend getting some silicone elastic so that it does help them stay up a little better. You can find some of that on Amazon. For the gloves, I just traced my hand on paper along with my arm, transferred that to paper for a pattern, and then onto the fabric. Now, how much fabric do you actually need? For the main color, you can honestly get away with only buying 3 yards. For Spandex World's fabric, I know that their fabric width is about 60 inches. If you're going to make your skirt using the long rectangle pattern, I would say you only need those 3 yards. Just make sure you use your fabric sparingly, especially when cutting out those bodice pieces. If you're going to do a circle skirt pattern, getting an extra yard might be better. Never hurts to get more. Make sure to double check your fabric's width as well when planning your patterns and buying your fabric. As for the other fabric you'll need, I got 1 yard of black stretch vinyl, 1 yard of white stretch vinyl, 1 yard of black spandex, 1 yard of power mesh. This is optional if you're going to turn your socks into tights, 1 yard of 16 gauge clear vinyl, and 3 yards of a fabric of your choice for the underskirt. I personally use rayon chalice. You're probably wondering where that white stretch vinyl is being used. I only used it on the white stripe that runs along the bottom of the skirt. You can definitely do this using ribbon or iron-on vinyl. It's all personal preference. Some other miscellaneous materials you'll need are iron-on vinyl for the triangles, the name on the dress, and the details on the gloves and socks, trim for the gloves and the bodice. For the gloves, I got my trim from Temu, and for the bodice, I got my trim from Etsy. You'll also need a zipper, a Teflon foot to help guide the vinyl through your machine, Microtex or stretch needles, thermoplastic beads, sewing clips because you can't use pins on vinyl, it'll leave holes, and a beret clip to attach the bow to the dress. For extra help when guiding your fabric through your machine, using tissue paper along the seam and then carefully ripping it off can really help. For the LEDs on the skirt, I got mine from Amazon. I put them on the underside of the skirt following the stitch lines of the white stripe that I sewed on. For extra security, I hand stitched them down as well. To secure the battery pack, I created a pouch that was sewn onto the top layer of the white underskirt, keeping it tightly closed with a snap. Onto the headphones. Materials you'll need are EVA foam, foam clay, hot glue, EL wire, which are the LEDs, acrylic paint, crazy glue, Mod Podge, cardboard, and wire. No matter which ear shape you're making, the bunny, the cat, or the bear shape, I recommend putting pieces of cardboard on the inside of each piece of the ear so that they are supported. For the microphone, I put wire between each foam piece so it can be movable, but mainly for stability. As for the LEDs, I chose to use EL wire because, as you can see, it bends around those curves of the headphones really well, unlike normal strip LEDs would. This is where I used the all-purpose crazy glue because I found that hot glue wasn't staying attached due to the Mod Podge. It was just peeling right off. Using the crazy glue, these lights aren't going anywhere. To wrap this up, let's do the cost breakdown. Before you start your own cyber, be prepared to spend a couple hundred. Vinyl is where the main expense comes from. That said, all of the fabric and material is going to be around $192.51. For all the iron-on vinyl, I don't have the exact amount that it was, but I know it was close to $90. I used a mixture of stretch-specific iron-on vinyl and non-stretch simply because I couldn't find all the colors in one or the other. This will cause the price to differ. For all the trims and extra materials and tools you might need, that'll cost around $127.18. Lastly, everything you'll need for the headphones will cost around $44.23. That gives the total cost coming out to $453.92. That hurts to say out loud. Oh my god. This number is definitely not going to be exact for everyone, but this is what it cost me in order to make this costume. I would love to make another cyber in the future, and based on the extra materials I have from Mockies, aka all the extra white stretch vinyl, Katori would be my next. I would also like to film the process of me making it to give an even more in-depth video on how a cyber can be made and put together. Because honestly, it was not as difficult as I thought. That brings us to the end of the video. I hope this helps anyone who wants to make their own cyber. It may seem like a daunting project, but I would say just take your time and expect for there to be some trial and error. Because there was a lot. Well, thank you for watching, and if you decide to make your own cyber, I know you'll kill it. See you next time. Bye!